right? So definitely lean in and be fair to yourself. With that said, I want to welcome you to Queen City Women in Business. If you're not a member, we highly encourage you to become a member because we are one of the fastest growing platforms connecting diverse women-owned businesses to major organizations. Our online community allows us to connect our suppliers to buyers faster and early and often. So if you're just joining as a visitor, we encourage you to scan the code and learn more. The other thing that's important for our population at QCWIB is 60% of our women businesses are service-based businesses. Now, why does that matter? Because if you are providing a service-based business, which is consultancy, which is advice, and you have a special program that you are running, like a workshop or an activity that you rinse and repeat, then you absolutely want to consider accreditation, which is why we brought this to you today. With that said, I want you to know that we are committed to always bringing you all the best and competitive knowledge and skills. So if you are visiting, consider scanning that code and become a member. We have more great content happening tonight. So QCWIBers, if you can hear my voice, there's another speaker tonight at 7 p.m. If you can make that, you can scan this code right here, where Dr. Adrian Charleston will be talking about minding your business, body, and soul, and some key tricks to the mind and body that actually increase business. So definitely check that out. That is a popular talk happening at 7. So again, we're always bringing you the best content. All right, that's not what you came to learn. So let's jump in. So here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, if you can hear my voice, accreditation. You're going to learn all about it today because there are so many misconceptions. I cannot tell you how many people have even reached out to today's event to say, Dawn Nicole, does accreditation mean this? Does accreditation mean certifying my program? Does accreditation mean that I can offer people a certificate? Y'all, we're going to blow your mind with what you learned today. So the first thing I want to do is set the stage. I want to give you 5 common key terms that you're going to hear and learn today. And I guarantee you should absolutely take a picture of this slide when you're finished, okay? So the first term you're going to hear a lot today is CPD. What is it? CPD stands for Continuing Professional Development, you all, and it is really about credit for continued learning and education. So as you know, when you become a professional and you get a professional designation, like an attorney, like a project manager, like an agile scrum master, like a change agent with PROSI, right? PROSI, and all these other agencies, those designations require those people to do continuing education and continuing learning. And ladies and gentlemen, your programs can count for some of that once they become accredited. So that is why the term CPD is important for you to know if you are a coach or a trainer, okay? And Drew is going to tell us lots more about the types of activities, but did you know that you can actually accredit an event? You can accredit an event. Like if you host an annual event that you do that has learning involved, people can get credit. Let me go deeper. Not only can they get credit, but their employer could pay in reimbursable dollars for that learning. I don't think y'all hear me. Y'all come on and wake up with me.
Yes.
Okay, lean in with me, okay? Because I minimize the picture so I can't see your face, but I want you to know that this is exciting stuff, okay? So anyway, we're gonna keep going. The other term you're going to learn today, accreditation agency or accrediting body. That is a third party like CPD Standards, who's on this call all the way from the UK with us today, who has the authority, right? It's an organization responsible for accrediting institutional courses and our courses, right? And you want a third party to do that. Drew is going to talk way more about that, so I won't steal his thunder. But you're also going to hear terms like accreditation committee, right? This is the team that takes you through that process. Drew's going to talk about it. You're going to hear about the assessment team, who's going to make that evaluation decision and work with you. And then you're going to hear about the term activity. In America, here in the United States, we call that a program, but it is worldly known as an activity. Same thing, your learning program, your workshop, an experience provided by a coach, trainer, or organizers like yourselves. So you all just became scholars real quick, so continue to lean in. With that said, please allow me to welcome the CPD Standards partnership that we have. Real fast, the CPD Standards Office provides international accreditation to many of the big brands that you can think of, and to everyday coaches and trainers like us. And today, our friend Drew Scarl, he is a CPD coach of excellence and advisor. Drew and I have probably been doing this or working together for like 4 years. But Drew's going to cover some things around what is accreditation. He's going to talk about who needs accreditation and why. He's also going to talk about what types of programs to accredit, benefits of accreditation, and how CPD helps. And then as a bonus, I'm going to talk about the moment you get that accreditation, because here's the part that no one tells you. The moment you get it, how do you take that thing into the marketplace and maximize it? I'm going to talk about how to do that as well. So without further ado, Drew, are you ready for me to pass the mic over to you?
I am indeed, Dawn. Go for it. Let's do this.
Let's do it. All right. Here goes,
Good
Drew.
stuff.
All yours.
Brilliant. Thank you. Excellent. So, yes, thank you, Dawn, for that introduction. And yeah, these are the 5 key points, the takeaways that I'm going to give you today. We're going to define what is accreditation and what it actually means. We're going to look at who needs it, so you can really connect the dots from the marketability side of things and how you can leverage better premiums, sell more of your content to wider audiences. And as Dawn said there, it's international. So some of you on this webinar today might serve domestically, but go further afield. And I'm going to tell you more about that in today's presentation. Dawn's already touched and scratched the surface on what types of activities you can accredit. We're going to do a deeper dive into that, how you can benefit from accreditation and how CPD helps. And we're going to touch on the accreditation process on that. And I guarantee I'm going to blow some of your minds in terms of the timeframes, because I think some of you, when we come to that piece, we're going to go to the chat, and I'm going to fire a question on how long you think it takes to become accredited. But we'll pause there for now, and we'll ask that question when we come to it. So, Dawn, let's kick on and go to the next slide. Let's define what is accreditation. Now, by dictionary definition, that is the first point there. It's looking at an institution's educational standards. It's a quality assurance by definition. We take that then further and take that into our own definition as an authority to be able to understand the educational value of content in the capacity to either upskill or reskill. By definition, CPD or CE continued, they both have continued in there, and it's a demonstration to be able to say to your audiences that what you deliver not only is high quality standards, but it's current and it's up to date, so that when you have that marketability to be able to sell your content to corporates and to your audiences, that you are current and up to date. And essentially CPD by definition, by our definition, is essentially a trust mark against your brand to demonstrate that you are high quality standards and that the level of competency that's gone into both developing and delivering the content is high quality and it's been certified. So that is by definition what we mean by accreditation and how we do it. It's evaluation of the educational authority and the value of your content and the capacity to upskill or reskill. So I hope that gives you cements some of your knowledge further, or if you had no prior knowledge before joining today of what actually accreditation is, hopefully those definitions will kind of define that for you. So
and Drew, we're going to give them, and I'm sure that these women are going to have some questions. And I just wanted to say, we've got some pause points for questions. So as you have questions, if you all don't mind, put in the chat and actually lead with question and then ask your questions so that we can zone in and I can pull those questions. Okay. So, all right, Drew, back to you.
Good stuff. Okay, so that's defining accreditation. So point number 2 is who needs it. Quite simply, everybody needs CPD. Some more than others, and I'm going to explore that and widen that lens in a moment for you. But CPD demonstrates that knowledge and competency is current and up to date, so that one remains proficient in their professional capacity. Now, CPD, to kind of widen that lens of who needs it, again, some more than others, is if your audience, you feed across multidisciplines, and what I mean by that is if you cross over various different industry sectors, the chances are that they will have a CPD or a CE policy written into that professional practice. And if you are belonging to a regulator or a professional body, you as a profession, you feed into that government or regulatory practice, there will be a mandatory CPD or CE policy that you have to adhere to in order for you to maintain your competency and proficiency within your professional capacity. So when we talk about regulatory practices, I'm just going to reel off some of the common ones. So you've got healthcare, you've got pharmaceutical, you've got legal, you've got law, engineering, you've got accountancy, finance. All of those are examples that there will be a mandatory CPD policy or CE policy that they have to adhere to as part of their professional practice. And the hours or the credits, that term is interchangeable. And depending on how high up the ladder you are and what professional body you feed into, will determine how many CPD hours, points, or credits you have to earn. And it ranges anything between 15 and 50 hours, depending on what state and what country that you are in. And when you wear the CPD badge, you are a visible signpost to demonstrate that, coming back to my first point about that quality assurance and that your content is current and up to date. But then as a byproduct of that, you can then officially award those credits, those hours to mandatory CPD or CE requirements. And so that is essentially who needs accreditation. It's very broad, it's a massive landscape, and no doubt everybody on this webinar today will cross over into a sample of those industry sectors and professionals, or maybe all of them. And as we go through at the end, if you have any specific questions that you'd like to explore further on, there's going to be a chance for you to book a call with me anytime this week. I've opened up my diary to coincide with your time zone so that you can book your one-to-one with me. And later on, Dawn's going to share a QR code where you can scan and book a one-to-one caller with me. But that is essentially who needs accreditation and who needs CPD.
Drew, before we go to the next slide, this is so important because I know many of these women and I see the wheels turning. And so can I just reiterate, when you talk about the who, ladies, if you're in healthcare, if you're in mental health, for example, which is highly regulated, and there's a certain discipline you want to teach, you need accreditation to be taken seriously, right? And to be seen as an authority. But let's say you're in DEI, like HISMET and supplier diversity, and you're building a course to teach others, a train the trainer. Y'all hear me, right? Maybe you want to build a course that is a certifying course. You want to be seen as the authority in your industry. Maybe you're in construction, you're in special education, AI, change management. Like Drew said, just to hit on, it's not just role-based, but it's industry-based. Like I know Sharita Thompson on this call is looking at her botanical line, and Drew, to be very specific real fast, Sharita was looking to be trained, couldn't find the training, and said, well, I'll build it. And so again, accreditation is a great option for her. So I really want you all, as Drew is speaking, to see yourselves in this model. What does that look like in your industry? Because we're going to ask you about it later. All right, Drew, I'm done. Let's move on.
Thanks, Dawn. Excellent stuff. Okay, so let's explore this point a little further. Dawn, again, in the introduction there, is talking about activities, and absolutely, if you've got an event, a conference that you calendar in throughout the year, you can accredit it, and you can award certificates of attendance to each of your audiences that they can then validate those CPD or CE hours as part of that practice. And it goes wider than that. So, we've talked about courses. Courses can be online. They could be uploaded onto a learning management system. They could be virtual classroom. They could be blended programs whereby part of it is online and then you bring them to a classroom. there's webinars, there's conferences that we've already mentioned, there's structured reading. Some of you may have written a publication that allows you to get that content accredited as part of one's development in that specific topic or field. There's so many modicums of learning and development and professional activity that you can gain education from to, again, upskill or reskill you in your professional capacity. And so we can endorse those with a CPD certification. So those are the types of activities we can accredit. And some of you on this call today might cross over multiple deliverables. You might have courses and conferences. Absolutely, you can accredit those if your audience is, again, think about that connectivity, that marketability of being able to signpost your activity to your audience to gain value-added experiences to your content.
Thank you, Drew. Next.
So let's go to point 4. So what's the return on investment and benefits of accreditation? So there are 3 key drivers as to why you would be CPD certified. Number 1 is to leverage better premiums by adding a trust mark against your brand, and that ability to be able to award those points. Because you're adding value to your content with a CPD certification, you can look to push those margins on what you traditionally charge. You can widen opportunities. As again already mentioned, it's multidiscipline. If you cross over various sectors, various professional or governing bodies that you feed into, you can sell your content and have an opportunity to sell across those multidiscipline areas and internationally as well. As an organization, we currently have presence in over 67 countries, stretching from US, Canada, South America, all the way across to Australia and everything in between. And so you can be part of that CPD community to be able to sell opportunities internationally. And then the final piece there is the key driver is to gain a competitive advantage against your competition. Be a go-to provider. Wear the logo across all of your marketing platforms, social media, your websites, any marketing collateral that you have. Wear that badge. It is a visible signpost to demonstrate credibility and authenticity that your learning is high quality standards. Thank you, Dawn. I think we've got one more slide.
We do, but I need to touch on this ROI real fast. I'm going to add something that's not here because I know these women, seeing is believing. And so let me, and I'll share later, but one thing that I think is so important, even on the other side, when Drew showed the pictures of, you can accredit an event, you can credit an online learning activity, you can accredit an in-person activity, right? You can accredit a workshop that goes with a book. I mean, the sky's the limit. If you're teaching it as a program or activity, you can accredit it. But let me get granular with you ladies. Let me tell you what the real so what is. Once you get your program accredited, not only does that mean that your attendees are going to get a certification, but I want you to go deeper. Their employers are willing to reimburse many accredited programs. Let me like be clearer, because show me the money here, right? So let me get after what I'm getting at. Many companies every single year offer their employees a learning stipend. That means they give them $500. Y'all know, some of y'all have been employees, some of y'all still are, you understand. So a lot of these employers annually are going to say, you must go learn something, right? We're investing in your continuing education. Ladies, when that happens, these employers are giving a dollar amount. They're saying $1,500, $500. And then what's happening is these employers are wanting to give that for accredited programs. Yours is on the list. It's been already third-party verified. So not only are they going to pay in some cases and be more willing to come, which means increase of your popularity and participation and attendance rate, right? But they also get that credit, and then they're going to put that on social media when they get that certification because they went to your accredited program, which also boost your program. So I'm giving you a different version of the so what, okay? So I just want you to really think about how this is going to 10x your business when you don't have to beg people to sign up. They want to sign up because it's a mandate of their company. That's also an ROI of accreditation. Okay, I'm done, Drew. I think I woke him up.
No, thanks, Dawn. Yeah, that's that really kind of nicely summarizes those 3 points from the ROI perspective. So yeah, really, really, really great.
Awesome.
So I suppose this is the kind of final piece for me before we go into the chat and perhaps open up. You come off mics and come off mute, and we can go to the room with any questions. Is putting myself in your shoes. How do you become accredited? What's the process? And this is the bit where I'm going to go to the chat here, and I'm going to say, in terms of time frame, just put it in there as a little bit of interaction here. How long do you think it takes to become accredited? Put it in there. Put it in days, weeks, months, years, whatever you want to do.
Okay, we have some answers, Drew. All right, so I'm loving this. All right, so Toyanda says 4 weeks. Girl, okay. Sandy says 3 months. Okay. Melissa says 6 months, 6 grueling months, right? Sharita, this is not an AI process. Sharita said 1 day. I love you, Sharita, and I know AI has spoiled us, but I think it takes more than a day. Valencia says 10 weeks. Okay, Valencia. Tiffany says 3 months. Very conservative. And Brooke says 45 days. All right. And the answer is, Drew?
The answer is our standard turnaround is 6 to 8 weeks.
Awesome.
To become accredited. So, Sharita, I wish it was 1 day, hun. I really do. That would be incredible. But yeah, our standard turnaround is 6 to 8 weeks. So what does that look like? I know right at the beginning, some of you fall into person type 1. You have content ready. Some of you are in the process of development and things like that. So to really understand what the accreditation journey looks like, let me go back to that first slide, which was we evaluate the educational value of your content. And the way we do that is fundamentally by 3 key things. So the first thing that we look at, that roadmap there, is essentially what we call the learner journey. It's understanding the key learning outcomes, objectives, methodology that sits within the framework of your learning, whether that be an LMS, a self-guided learning program, whether that be a classroom-based course, or whether that be an event or a conference. The accreditation process for events and conferences has been tweaked ever so slightly. And if you do run events or conferences that you would like to know more about, again, book a call in with me and I'll be able to go into a deeper dive in exploring how we actually do that from an accreditation perspective with events and conferences. But fundamentally, we want to know what the agenda of your learning consists of, from key learning outcomes, objectives. If you have them, not every learning has them or activity has them. If you have competency-based knowledge skills tests, whether that be short multiple choice quizzes, or if you have exams at the end and things like that, again, all of that is what we encompass as the end-to-end learning experience. And that's the first thing that we require from you. The second thing that there is the authorship of the learning. We want to know how the learning has been put together, how it was resourced, and how it's delivered. This is essentially the credibility and the authenticity of the learning. So we want to make sure that the learning has come from a credible and reputable place. So if you on this call now, if you are the author and the trainer of your deliverables, we want to know what your background is. So evidencing things like your resumes, CVs, LinkedIn bios are very useful to be able to demonstrate one's background educationally and experiences from a professional perspective. if there's any research, any current research that's gone into underpinning your methodology, all of those are examples to demonstrate that the learning has come from a credible and reputable place. So that's the second thing that we require from you. The final thing is how you evaluate learner feedback. So again, coming back to the acronym CE or CPD, they both have continuous in there. And so we want to be able to see that you yourself have a mechanism that demonstrates that you constantly evaluate learner feedback. That's the continuous bit. You yourself as a provider of CPD or CE, that you have a demonstrable way of recording your own learner feedback and your audience feedback. Now, whether that be in the format of a table drop at the end if you operate classroom, or if you operate virtually, whether you send a Survey Monkey link or a Google review link that kind of says, tell me how we did, as long as you can demonstrate that you evaluate learner feedback. We don't need to see testimonials. We just need to see that you have that mechanism in place. And they are the three fundamental things that we require as part of the accreditation process. And all of that, guys, takes 6 to 8 weeks. The one final thing that I will add here before we open the floor up to any questions is it's a very collaborative journey. We are not there to pass or fail you. We work together with you to ensure that the CPD is achieved at the end. So the assessor there is to work with you and to make sure that all of the competencies, the criteria that you fulfill achieves the CPD endorsement at the end. And that is why, to manage your expectations, we say it takes 6 to 8 weeks. That time is factoring in that work, that collaboration with the assessor in order for the CPD to be achieved at the end. So that's me putting myself in your shoes, guys, to really understand the process of what's required in the accreditation. And I think the moment is right, it's Dawn, that we go to this. Before we go into the Q&A, there's the barcode there, the QR code. If you scan that, you'll come directly through to my calendar, pick a time, and we can go one-on-one to understand more about your business, to understand your activities, and do a deeper dive on how we can work together with you to accredit your content, your activities, to maximize those opportunities today. Thank you, Dawn.
Yeah, no, I love it. And you're not going anywhere. I'm bringing you back again for questions. So again, Drew, all the way from the UK. So a couple of things before we move forward, ladies. You've got questions and Drew has answers. And what usually happens right here is a lot of the women want to then talk deeply about their program. Drew, let me ask you, I do healthcare and I'm doing this. Does mine, right? And so what I'm going to say is no matter what, scan the code, get on his call. It is free, or on his calendar. It is free to set up a 30-minute meeting with Drew to ask him deeply some questions around your specific piece. Let me say that because we tend to run out of time sometimes. But what are some questions you ladies have around what you just heard? So with the content just covered, what are some questions? And I see, Sharita, you said you love a deeper dive. Scan the code because Drew has opened up limited spots for the US because he's busy. So I'm glad he's with us today. So scan the code, book your time, make sure you see about your business. But what are some questions around some things you all already heard today before we move forward? Any questions or even comments? Who's surprised that it only took 6 weeks, that it's only a 6-week process? So Tiffany says, where is the paperwork to do? Look, Tiffany's like, I don't need to talk, Drew. I don't need to, like, where's the paperwork? And so, Tiffany, I love that question. I think Drew will send it out, but Drew is also going to give it to you directly when you book time, because I think he wants to make sure that you understand everything, and that's part of booking time. Is that right, Drew? Do you want to add to that? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But essentially, very quickly, just to cover that for everybody here.
Yeah.
It's a 2-step process. If you are, again, in that position where you fall into category number 1, you have content ready to go to be certified, then it's a 2-step process. Number 1, you would register to become a CPD member. And when you book the call with me, not only will we go into more specifically about your content and how accreditation lends itself to your materials and your activities, but then we can go to that next step of how you go through the registration process. But essentially, as you would complete a gym or a health club membership, the principles are the same. It's register to become a CPD member first. That is step one. Once you've completed registration, we then move you to step two, which is what we call the onboarding and submission stage. And at that stage, three things very, very quickly happen. Number one, you'll receive your submission pack. It's the documentation. This answers your question here. It's the documentation, Tiffany, that guides you through both what and how to submit your content for accreditation. So you'll receive that at stage two. The second thing that you'll receive is your CPD digital community badge. So what this essentially is, it is a branded CPD badge like the one that's underneath the blue one that's underneath my beard there. It's an in-progress CPD badge. The reason why we do that straight off the bat is whilst in the background you're going through that 6 to 8 week accreditation process, in the foreground you can use that digital badge to ramp up marketing, to ramp up your engagement with your audience and your clients, to say that I'm going through an accreditation at the minute. This is the evidence to prove that. Once the accreditation is then awarded, we then swap out that in progress badge, and we then give you your official credential, which is your unique ID number underneath the digital badge. And that is awarded to you that you can then use across all marketing platforms, every piece of collateral that you have that sings and shouts that you are CPD certified. That all happens at that stage two, what we call the onboarding and submission stage. The final thing that I will add here, what you get, is as part of your membership benefits, you are assigned a dedicated account manager as part of the relationship that we have with you. Now, the purpose of the account manager is twofold. Number one is they support you through that initial accreditation period to get you accredited as quickly and as efficiently as possible. In other words, Tiffany, they are your guru, your guide to go through that accreditation and to work with you with regards to that paperwork. The second part of that is to support you with marketing as well. And the way we do that is through two key channels. One is through the CPD directory, which is essentially we put your shop window directly onto our website, so that anybody who is searching for CPD accredited activity or CE events, your shop window is essentially that. That is all part and parcel of the accreditation that we provide with you to support you in that ROI piece, getting the most out of your accreditation and to maximize those benefits. So that is a whistle-stop tour, Tiffany, to answer your question about how that time frame, that 6 to 8 week time frame, what the expectations are from that admin side of things. But let's get on a call and we can do a deeper dive specifically to your content, Tiffany.
Love it. And I know there are more questions. I'm going to answer some with the next couple of slides. But one thing you said that I just thought was so important, they do help you. And we're going to talk about, because I know some of you don't have the training background, which is fine, right? You have the expertise in your industry, in your field, and you're looking to be seen as an authority, but you have that training piece. And so I'm going to share in just a second. But one thing I want to say, Drew, as I think about it right now, I think our companies hold the record for the most accreditations through CPD. We have about 35 programs accredited with you all, between my company and my husband, Skildora. I say that to say this, ladies. Here's why I said that. We have so many programs accredited. We were like kicking butt 4 years ago, just getting accredited, that I created sort of a 4-step free video learning series that breaks it down from the trainer's aspect or from the organizer. So if you all want us to send you that, just do a quick thumbs up so I can see. If you want sort of that educational piece, you should still get on Drew's call, right? But if you want to understand sort of the details and the weeds for the trainers, we created that 4-step video. And I'm only sending it to the people who give me the thumbs up, right? I won't waste your time if you're already good. All right, so, okay, I see you all now. So Drew, we're gonna take more questions in a second. I'm gonna move forward because I think that we're gonna answer some questions as well, okay? Drew, you good with that?
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just responding to Toyinda there, because I think she's having a problem with the QR code. Toyinda, don't worry, I'm just going to reply and I'm going to give you a direct link where you can book, and I'm just going to put it in the chat.
Love
there.
it.
So if you're having difficulty with the QR code, ladies, just click that link there.
Love it. Yes. Thank you for that. We didn't even think about, you just may need a good old fashioned link. So, all right. So I'm going to give you ladies a moment to book, because I don't want you to miss your opportunity. So feel free to click the link. And as you do that, I'm going to transition into something that I think will be a game changer, because there once was a time I was not accredited. And I can already tell you all, I'm about to share my story. I'm going to share with you how my life, not my business, my life changed. Because the one thing that people don't talk about, there are a lot of people saying, get accredited. But at the time, there wasn't a lot of people telling you what to do next, because there wasn't a lot of accredited trainers in the US, okay? There was a lot of accredited companies, but not individuals. So I'm gonna share my story real fast. So here's the deal if you're still looking at the screen. Here's my experience working with CPD Standards Office. The first thing I want to tell you is it took me 90 days of searching, because here's what no one tells you. These companies don't have to take you. I'm gonna go slow. At the time, in 2020, I was trying to fix a problem in the marketplace. If you know my background, I'm a multi-certified enterprise agile coach by trade. That means these big companies paid a lot of money for myself and team to come into their companies and rapidly reform them into an agile enterprise. I got so good at it that I started saying, I'm going to build my own program and teach other coaches. I'm going to be the coach's coach, because they keep wanting me to show up. I need an online program that's a certification program, and it needs to be accredited to get certified, okay? So here's what happened, ladies. Here's the first thing that you should do. If you are in a specific industry, look to see who's currently accrediting similarly modeled companies to you. So at the time, my competition was Scrum.org and Scrum Alliance, because Scrum is a component of Agile. And let me tell you, they had the marketplace locked up. Scrum has been around for years, 35 years, right? They've accredited millions, like they have millions of certifications. So here's little old Dawn Nicole trying to build a certified Agile transformation course that just teaches you the industry level of what is it to be Agile transformation, to use this terminology. And what happened is, when I went to their accrediting bodies, they would not do business with me. Do you know why? They cited it as conflict of interest. I couldn't believe it. Here I was back in 2020, a woman-owned business by myself, a standalone independent coach that was just trying to further my cause. And you mean to tell me that after counsel with Scrum.org and Scrum Alliance, I was considered a threat? So it took me 90 days. I remember almost being at the brink of tears talking to a company in New York, because I don't know if you know what it's like to be told no when you're trying to further yourself. That's what happened for me. I was literally on the phone saying, but I don't do what they do. It'll be different. I'll be an ally. And they wouldn't do business with me. So I was iced out. So what did I do? I went online and I started searching, and lo and behold, I came across CPD Standards, and life changed. I literally booked a call just like you just did. And I must have spent a 1-hour call at the time. And I was so happy, because there's something about being told no that when you finally get that yes, hello, right? So I get on the call and I start asking questions, and I'm overthinking. Thank you, Rachel. And Rachel kept saying, no, of course, this is what we're supposed to do. And then here's the name of my program. Here's what happened for me. My program was called the Certified Agile Transformation Professional. To date, hundreds of people have taken it and gotten certified, right? But because of CPD standards, they said yes. And then everyone said yes. And when I say yes, the opportunity said yes. So here's what happened for me. I got my first accreditation in less than 6 weeks, although we're going to call it 6 weeks, Drew. Don't worry. I won't underpromise. 6 weeks. But because you all, here's what I will tell you. Because I was already running my program through a pilot, and I recommend this in my training series that I'm going to send you. I recommend, if you can, I'm not saying it's required, but I already tested it out on a number of pilot people. So that means what? I already had feedback. That means what? I already had marketing, because CPD is going to ask you, how do I learn about this today if I'm a consumer and I don't know you, Dawn Nicole? Where's your marketing page? How many people have taken it? What has been the feedback? And more importantly, can you demonstrate that you've used the feedback to make the course better? And then I'm gonna tell you this, there were some things I didn't have in place, and CPD didn't deny me. You know what they said? They said, that's okay, here's how you do it. When we come back, we're gonna give you some time to create it. So it was really, when Drew talks about a partnership, I wasn't perfect at this time, because you don't know what you don't know, but they worked with me, ladies. I still remember one of the things that I needed to fix was I needed to talk about all types of learning, like hearing impaired. There was nothing on my site that talked about how does someone with learning disabilities take the course. You don't have to have it, but you need to say something on your site. You need to instruct, you need to give some sort of caveat, right? I didn't have these things. And so what CPD said is they explained to me what it was, they gave me links on where to go find it, and they allowed me to grow. And here's what happened next. So while I was going through the process, CPD gave me the plaque. So what Drew is talking about is while you're going through the process, they want you to start priming the market. They want you to tease your market. So they give you a plaque that says you're currently in process of being reviewed by CPD, something like that. You're gonna use that, ladies, as your teaser to say, hey, I'm excited. We're currently under review. Our company is currently going through this process. We're so excited. Start using it then. But here's what happened for me next. 6 weeks later, I earned my accreditation, and here was my marketing approach. I then made a social media announcement message. We are CPD certified. It's official. The Certified Agile Transformation Professional course, the CATP, is ready here. Boom, take it today. Get your learning credits. Get 10 learning credits, right? And by the way, credits can equal hours, right? So if your course takes 10 hours, that's 10 credits. Y'all follow, right? So y'all know me, I got a big mouth. I went and made a big announcement on social media. Then we paid for a national press release. Then we did introductory emails to national industry organizations. And in the same year, we aligned with SHRM. Let me break down what that means. That means not only are we accredited, which means an average lay person can get credit for taking it, but now when you partner with an industry body like SHRM, which is Society of Human Resources, SHRM is saying, hey, because you're accredited, when our HR professionals who hold the HR designation take it, they'll get some SHRM credits too. SHRM partnered with us the next year, then HRCI, also an HR body, then PMI, then South Carolina Bar Association. Then I became an accrediting beast. To date, we have about 35 accredited programs between my company and my husband's company, Skilldora. And let me tell you what happened next. Look at this. Corporate contracts opened up. Why do you think I opened up a business called Queen City Women in Business to help us all get corporate contracts? Because I became a beast at it, right? Through this accredited program, I was able to sell my training course, no lie, I have receipts, to Boston Consulting Group, a multi-billion-dollar company. They saw me as having a competitive advantage because any other trainer who presented the proposal, the moment I said, well, we're accredited, that means they get learning credits when they take it. They get a certification. Oh, well, Dawn Nicole, that's a no-brainer. We're gonna take your CATP. But it didn't stop there. I would go on to do Boston Consulting Group. This is literally me in Boston, right? I would then go on to work with PMI. I would get booked at cybersecurity events. This is me in South Carolina, Hilton Head, at an event talking about AI, ChatGPT, and Agile. Then Anderson Windows in Minnesota not only paid for me to come, right, for 4 hours, but they bought all my books. I don't think y'all hear me. How has accreditation changed my life? So this is what happened next. My quality of life changed. I'm in Hawaii. American Cancer Society has made me the presenter at their gala, raising money, right? Corporate speaking at Microsoft. When I say my life changed, because I made a smart investment in my business, my life changed. So what I'm saying is, don't just talk about it, invest in yourself. This has gotten me so many contracts, I don't even want to drop figures here. I'm just telling you, if you're going to do it for real. This can be you. Just imagine 6 weeks from now means, ladies, by June 30th, you have accreditation. If you act now, by the end of June, you're accredited. If you play your cards right, it's about 6 weeks. That could be you. And it's not hard. They walked me through everything. They helped me understand. I was already a beast at marketing. I just needed the accreditation. So once I got it, I yelled from the mountaintop. I went back to companies who previously ignored me and I said, hey, we just want to let you know that we're now an accredited company with an accredited program. Can we talk? Learning and Development Department. Okay. So I know that I get passionate, but I'm passionate about you and your success, ladies. So with that said, what questions can I answer about anything I shared? Are there questions in the chat? Drew, do you see any questions in the chat?
Yeah, just one here from Sandra, which is about the accreditation. Can we put our courses on platforms like Udemy? Absolutely, you can upload Udemy, Thinkific, your account manager. They have a wealth of knowledge about specific platforms that are related to specific industry sectors. They can advise you as where to go so that you get the best exposure for your content on those platforms. But simple answer, Sandra, is absolutely yes, you can.
Yes, because even if you don't have your own platform, and just so you all know, because one of the questions that I get, so for me, my first accredited program was the Certified Agile Transformation, right? CATP. And when you pay for your accreditation, which Drew is going to talk about, you can usually accredit up to 3 activities or 5 activities at a time. So when I started, I paid for the first step, which I think allowed me 5 activities then. And I'm going somewhere with this, Drew, and then I'll let you clean it up if you need to say something. So here's what I did. I wanted to offer my CATP program, Certified Agile Transformation Professional, both in person. I made it a 2-day, and I charged a pretty penny. I'm talking like $2,500 per person, because what I did is I went after companies and then I did groups who wanted to learn Agile as a group, and they paid, so $2,500 per person, right? Would take my 2-day CATP course. That was the in-person model. And then I had an online model that was about maybe 12 hours of training. And so when I paid for my accreditation, I paid for 2 activities, 1 title, right? So even though it was 1 title, I wanted to deploy it in 2 ways. Does that make sense, ladies? I wanted to offer it online, same course, and in person, right? And my accreditation for 5 activities at the time covered, so 2 was covered by me deploying it in multiple ways, multiple modes. So I'm going to pause. Drew, is it still like that? Can you just talk a little bit about? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, Dawn. So yeah, it's the membership works in tiers. It's a tiered membership model. And the first band starts up to 5 activities. And again, going back to that piece about what is an activity, you might have 2 courses, 2 webinars, and you might have an annual event that you have calendared in the autumn or in the summer period. That is an example of how you can use those 5 activities to maximize that threshold. If you don't have 5, that's not a problem. You could start with the 1 or the whatever you have at the moment to get certified. You will then have that headroom to develop additional content further on down the line. And again, when we jump on the call and the meeting, I will be able to understand the structure of your course and your strategic pathway going forward, so that if you are only 1 course now, but you want to develop a portfolio at the end, again, that's the partnership that we have with you to be able to guide, support, and get you the accreditation that suits your needs at this moment in time. But essentially, as Dawn's mentioned there, it's a tiered membership model.
Love it. Valencia has a question. Valencia, if you want to come off mute, feel free to ask us your question.
Okay, sorry about that, because it was too much to type. So excited, I'm all excited, but I'm a visual learner. So I need, what my concern is, I'm in the process of building my workshops. But for me, I want to make sure that I don't want to have to go back and forth. I know it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks. But if there's a checklist, say for instance, my goal is to work with the human resource bodies, SHRM, HRCI. I want to know what they're expecting prior to me building so I can stay ahead of the curve. Is there something that I need to do prior to that? So I know that.
Yeah, but Valencia, have you booked a call in with me?
I have.
Absolutely, we can cover that. So yes, there is the short answer. There's two ways in which that we support you in that. One is what we call an infographic. It's literally a checklist so that you can sense check against the criteria. Use it as a red, amber, green, and the idea is obviously as you work through that infographic, if you can tick a green light to it, you're ready. You're in a position that you meet the criteria going forwards. That's one. The other is we've literally just launched a video. It's a tutorial, shall we say, that allows you to. It kind of aligns itself to that infographic, so that again, if you are a visual learner or you prefer to see and hear, there's a short video tutorial that we've also built as well. We can provide that for you, not a problem.
Awesome, thank you so much.
And Valencia, on the other side of it, because there are two things. What you just mentioned, it falls under two buckets actually. One was, what is the stretch path through getting my accreditation through CPD? I'm visual, so what you're really asking is the roadmap. Like, what are you going to ask me for so I can be prepared, right, Valencia?
Yes.
Yep. And then, so that's one tranche, right? Or one bucket, I think in buckets. But then the second bucket is a little separate, is once you have it, what is HRCI is SHRM going to ask me for? And I can answer that because I've been partnered with them. So I will tell you what's really interesting is they have an application, which I will send to you. So the nice thing is you don't have to dig for it because I actually still have all that information. I'll send it to you. And what's going to happen is, assuming you're already accredited, because you want to do it after you get that accreditation, you're going to apply with SHRM and HRCI to be a recertification provider. You all may want to write that term down, because what a recertification provider is you aligning yourself with these industry level institutions and partners to say, hey, consider my company as a recertification provider for your HR folks, right? So they could come to me to get those recerts, those CPDs each year. Because guess what? They got to get them annually. You might as well start to apply to be a recertification provider. And when you do, Valencia, they're going to ask you the same things that CPD asked you. They're going to say, tell me about your program, give me the description, how many hours is it accredited for, meaning how many CPDs. So what they're doing is sort of the afterglow. So what I mean is, once you get that program accredited back from CPD, your program, Valencia, you will know for the online learning, it's 4 CPDs. It takes 4 hours to complete. And for the in-person, when you do it in person, maybe it's 15 hours. It's a 2-day or a 1-day workshop. I'm just making this up, right? So you will already always know the weight or the amount of CPDs that CPD has accredited your program for. You will then take that information and you will use it to answer the application process for SHRM. So SHRM is going to say, hey, how many CPDs is it good for the online? Oh, it's good for 4. Great. How long does it take? So they're just regurgitating. They're asking you to just repeat and convey what you've already been approved or authorized to do. Does that answer your question, Valencia? They don't do a lot of deep digging, because once you say I'm accredited, they trust that a third-party provider has already done that piece, that investigative piece. So they're just asking you for the result information to pop into their application. Does that make sense, Valencia?
Yes, because I didn't know, and you explained it just the way that I needed to, because I didn't know if it was 2 separate things or one whole thing or blended. So because the research is kind of skeptic for me. So
yeah. So step 1. So if I'm you understanding these goals, and of course, Drew is going to be able to give you a deeper level for your specific, for what you need. But I'm just telling you the after piece. So you definitely want step 1 to be, let me get accredited and understand how many hours of CPDs my activities got accredited for. You'll get a badge, and you'll want to hold on to that badge. You'll want to hold on to that letter, because the next step is when you apply step 2 separately to these sort of industry bodies that you want to align with. They will ask you for evidence of that accreditation, evidence of your seal, if you will, that approval. And they'll also ask you for how many hours does this accredit my people for. So that's why I'm here to say, get accredited, lady, so you can do the next step. Does that make sense, everyone? I hope so, because I can't hear you, so I'm gonna say yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Y'all know I need
Yes.
energy. I need communication. All right. Drew, anything else? I think we do. Oh, one thing I wanted to say, forgot about this slide. Thanks to accreditation, we went on to make world history. No, a lot of people don't know this. So sometimes if you read my bio, you'll hear me say, we made world history in my other company. And you're like, I don't know what she's talking about. This is what I'm talking about. What happened is, I was already accredited, already had a relationship with CPD standards from 2020 onward. And then in 2022, this is my husband and I here, we're on the Roland Martin show. What happened is before ChatGPT, Lord, I have to always say that, we was already in the education space and we were manufacturing and using these digital AI avatars. And we were the first in the world to take AI digital avatars and accredit them for workforce development training. So we built a whole suite of agile courses, project managers, right? Things, because they were accredited, that means that we could license our programs to like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and others. And we were the first in the world to accredit a workforce development course that was taught by a non-human. And Drew, I don't know if you were there or if you remember that when we made that big press announcement. So yeah, so because of accreditation, because of this partnership and relationship, we were able to pioneer something new that was at the time, this will never happen again because now, AI is everywhere, but we were the first. So just go Google that and look that up. So thanks to accreditation, we've been able to be on some celebrity appearances, some big shows, and it really opened up the door. And now my husband still runs Skilldora and I run Queen City Women in Business. But thanks to CPD, we were able to broker that. So any final questions before we move on? We have more to cover. So any other questions before we move on? Great. So one thing I do want to talk about is that it's not just me who's winning with accreditation. It can be you. And these are some real testimonies of other people in other companies. Drew, can you just kind of talk at a high level to just some of these testimonials and just how other people in other countries or other communities are winning through accreditation through you all?
Absolutely. And I go back to the slide about the benefits, the three key drivers about being able to stand out in your marketplace, being able to leverage better premiums. Each one of these here have a different learning or training capacity. Some of them cross over into the coaching arena as well. And so they've really leveraged their business that's unique to them. Some of them are that kind of that financial driver, and they want to be able to leverage straight off the bat. Others are, I want to be able to stand out in the marketplace. I want to be able to wear the badge, which then in turn, that credibility piece, which is their key driver, then helps them to sell more of their content. But the key driver was essentially wearing the badge to be able to go, I want some authenticity behind. I want to legitimize my learning to be able to stand out in a crowded space. And as a result of that, that's where they've leveraged their premiums or sell more of their content. And yeah, Simon Rickman there is, he delivers across financial institutions and accountancy. He's more in the financial space there. Anita, she is multidisciplined. She sells content across all diverse industry sectors, mainly the ones that have a mandatory CPD requirement. Her content is more about the soft skills, leadership and management, rather than the technical side of things. And then Dale Howarth is an accredited speaker. So Dale is a university lecturer. And he delivers various presentations at certain events and conferences and things like that. And so to help him be able to approach those organizations that run and calendar events, he's been able to say, I'm an accredited speaker, book me as one of your calendared speakers. My content is XYZ. And that's what he leads with being able to have that kudos, that credibility to be able to demonstrate his value at those events. So again, diversity in abundance there from those testimonials in front of you.
Wow. Wow. And it really travels across shores, right? Because I talk about my stories here in the US and how valuable it is, and it's happening in the UK. And so again, final Q&As, for Drew before we go into sort of our group discussion, because we do have a quick group. If you haven't already scanned the code, there's no commitment. Ask your questions. Maybe you want to know about which activities to start with, right? Maybe you do have trainings, you have a few, and you don't know which one is the best to lead with, right? Because not everything is a priority, but if everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. So picking one to start with right now can be of utter importance, and Drew can help you with that. You might have questions around price. I know when I first did this, I thought it was going to cost like $10,000, $7,000, because you always hear about these accredited organizations. I was floored in a good way to learn that it was nowhere near that. In every single one of your industries, I don't care if you're in a nonprofit, I don't care if you're in HR, I don't care if you're in emotional intelligence, it doesn't matter what you do, botanicals, Sharita, Ebony, in all of your industries, it would behoove you to find out what regulatory requirement exists. There is a regulatory requirement. I don't care if you're in construction, every single industry has a compliance-driven requirement. If you understand what that is, then what that really means is in these compliance-driven, industry-based requirements, they mandate that people get learning every single year. That means in order to keep a license in construction or emotional intelligence or change management, I have to get licensed every year, or excuse me, not licensed, I have to have CPDs every single year. It is mandatory. Now just imagine that you build the course, right, that someone could take. That means every single year, Toyinda, different audiences must take your course. And I try to teach women, don't build a vitamin, build a headache pill. A headache pill means people are going to take a headache pill faster than a vitamin. If you make me choose, I'm always going to take my Aleve faster than my woman's NutriVitamin, right? Because a vitamin could be optional. Headache pill, I got to get rid of the pain. Build the thing that's going to make people come back every single year after year, because it's mandatory. It's a compliance-driven requirement. So all you have to do, technique-wise, strategy-wise, is understand in your industry, what are the compliance-driven courses, right? What certifications in your industry are those people requiring those people to take a course like yours? That's the goal. That's all. That's the whole training. Like that's all. That's why you pay right there, right? Because you can do a lot of things, but it's doing the one right thing at the right time right now. That's how you figure out the priority. So if I'm you, before I even think about, yes, you have a course in mind, but find out in your industry what's required. Then start to match up. Okay, I'm done. All right, Drew, questions.
So I think, Toyinda, I found the question. It's how often do you recertify with CPD? Perfect. So the answer, and I'm going to speak directly to everybody here because this no doubt will come up in our one-to-ones, and I can see Danielle's got her hand up as well. We'll come to you as well, and Danielle in a minute. But how often do we recertify? So when you become a member, the minimum term is a 1-year membership. Okay, that is the commitment to sign up, minimum 1 year. However, your 1-year membership is actually valid for 14 months because we give you that 6 to 8 week accreditation period back for free within your first year's membership. So you don't lose any time from your annual membership from when you actually officially have been CPD certified. However, remember, you can use the digital community badge in that 6 to 8 week process for you to be able to engage with audience. And as you've heard, it's a minimum term of 1 year, Toyinda. As you've heard from Dawn, our community there, Dawn's been with us for 4 years. So in terms of that renewal year on year, the investment speaks for itself for you to be able to maintain the license to continue to market as being CPD certifiable. It's an annual membership that you are part of year on year. When it comes to renewal though, as part of a loyalty reward scheme, we give you a 15% discount back when it comes to your renewal. So when it comes to that choice at the end, of course, you are not obligated to continue your annual membership, but as you've heard from testimonials and from Dawn today, Dawn's been with us for 4 years and continue to go with us because it works from that perspective on the ROI. So Toyinda, does that answer your question in terms of that?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Danielle, Miss Danielle Fletcher has a question. Danielle? You may be on mute, Danielle.
So that's for but recording. So I have a lot of, well, not a lot, but I have a lot of programs, for instance, that I could get accredited for. Would you suggest going in the direction of the Blue Ocean strategy, where I'm going to get something accredited that no one else has done before, or going in the direction of following the direction of something that I've already done before? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm gonna repeat the question just because the audio was just a little bit back and forth, Danielle. So I'm gonna repeat what I think I heard, okay? And then we'll answer it. Yep, so good. I think it was a great question. So I heard the last part. So Danielle was basically saying, okay, she's understanding what we're saying about accreditation, but now her question is, do I A, go Blue Ocean strategy? For those who don't know what that is, there's a great book called Blue Ocean. And so what she's talking about is, within my industry, do I build the thing that no one is talking about yet, but everybody needs to know, right? So do I build and accredit something totally unique? Or Dawn Nicole and team, do I build something that people are already looking for, that is popular, that people are gonna need? That was sort of the merit of the question. Yes, Danielle?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
I have a theory on that, and I'm sure Drew does too. So Drew, do you want, I'm going to give it to you as a coach and trainer, and then Drew is probably going to give you from it, from the CPD, what they see, because they see hundreds of applicants, right? And I'm just going to share with you that I've tried 35 different activities, and I know what works and what didn't move at all. So here's what I will say, Danielle. Very similar. I've had success on both sides. Period. It still has to be the right thing, right? Period. And what I'm saying is, in my first experience, I built an agile course that I didn't see. So what I'm saying is, in my world previously, when it comes to Agile Scrum, there's all these courses about how to be a Scrum Master, how to be an Agile coach, how to be an Agile product owner. And it is a multi-million-dollar business because people are using that training that Scrum Alliance and Scrum.org has to then go and get jobs in Agile. So, however, what no one was building in 2020 was a course that just taught you about the world of Agile transformation. What types of companies are doing it? What is the process? So it wasn't role specific. It was industry when it comes to Agile. And so I didn't see it. And I was like, ooh, opportunity. If I build this, now it's not role specific. And I was absolutely right, Danielle. I made a ton of money by using a Blue Ocean strategy, but it was Blue Ocean. It was first my problem. So it has to be a real problem. Although it's Blue Ocean, is it a real problem that's unaddressable, that you are getting ready to address? If you can say yes, meaning you would pay money for it, and you can validate that is a universal problem, I would say build it. There's nothing wrong with that. I did that and I had great results. That was my CATP course. However, on the other side, once I got into Skilldora, we built a whole inventory of courses, which means I had higher numbers to see what works and what didn't work. The courses that were popular, that people still get today, that AI course is a beast. Now, everyone has an AI course, but it still works because that means that people are always looking for AI essentials. Everyone has a project management course. So we built both courses that were on trend, that's already been done. And then we built a few courses around investing. We built a course around work-life balance, and nobody bought it. So sometimes when it's not in the market, there's a reason it's not there. They don't move, they don't sell. So that's what I would say, Danielle. I don't know if that's helpful, but try. The nice thing about CPD is you're going to get 5 activities. You could use those 5 to try one Blue Ocean that solves a real problem, and then maybe build on a popular topic that you know people are searching for. So, Drew, Drew, do you have a perspective on that? I know you've seen hundreds of applicants and people signing up.
Yeah, I think just to kind of to caveat that last piece there, Dawn, is have a look at what you've got now and how CPD aligns with the framework of what you're delivering right now and how that aligns to your market. If that content then evolves because the problem that's within your sector is growing, which means demand is then is growing together with that, then if it means then you need to have a completely different activity, you've got headroom to Accredit 5, there's a solution. The second is if your initial program is kind of on the right pathway to what the problem is, the problem that's growing within that marketplace, but you need to make fine adjustments, we go through what's called a period of resubmission. Now, the resubmission costs you nothing. It could be the whole program. It could be a module within the program that allows you to be able to say, from 6 months ago when I had the program initially accredited, that there's been a huge spike in legislation or the technology has influenced the acceleration of this problem, which means I have to be agile in being able to update my content via your account manager who is assigned to you as part of your membership. You would go through that process with them, and you would then have a conversation to say, this program, this module within it, or a series of learning modules that's housed within it has now updated. We go through a resubmission, and that's part of your accreditation. So I hope that kind of gives you something now to summarize. That is, look at what it is now that you have. If the strategy going forward is, your industry, there's going to be a boom in this space, you've got flexibility within your accreditation of up to 5, or you can just tweak and resubmit that content. I hope that does somewhat answer your conundrum.
Awesome. Ladies, what other questions do you have? I'm trying to answer a question now in the chat, but before I do, does anyone else have any final questions before we get ready to conclude? Feel free to come off mute. Yep. Hey.
Adrian. My question might be a little odd because I was trying to figure it out for myself, and I'd already scheduled my call. So, kind of specific, kind of not. What I have a class now that I have worked on, but it's not necessarily for people in my industry. It's for people, I'm in mental health, so it's for actual individuals to help take better care of themselves. Would that be something that would be accredited too? Because it's not necessarily that they need CEs or anything for. And also in the mental health field, I went and pulled all my stuff to see they have so many different, like we got to go through APA or counselor stuff. Like the accreditation is so specific to teach to people in my field, if that makes sense. I know it's like 2 questions, but I was trying to make sense for myself in my head.
You want me to answer that, Drew, or you got it?
Yeah, you go if you want to. I can. I'm easy.
Okay, yeah, you are. You're my favorite person to work with. Okay, so Adrian, I understood what you said. I'm just processing it very quickly. So here's what I will tell you. When you're training, right? Because we're all training for the good to help people learn, and we train for the light bulb moment. We do it for the love. We do it right, and that makes then do it for that because people need it. But what we're talking about now is how to be strategic in a way where you make some money, right? Because we've all built courses no one has bought. I know I have some of those too. And I think what we're saying is there somewhere in the middle, there right in the middle with what you're saying and what we're teaching, there's a happy medium. And you have to find that when you start investing, you're investing because you do want some return on that investment. And so what I would recommend is the real question to ask yourself is who in the market, role-wise, job-wise, right, industry-wise, needs to understand healthcare, or not healthcare, mental health and wellness, right, and their own fitness, mental health fitness, who needs to understand it and could possibly have money available from a job or from an employer to help pay for that. So the question is who needs it and who has the money to pay for it at scale. And my brain always thinks scale. I'm a queen of like scalability, like one to many. And so when I think about that, I think of, is there a way for you to tackle leaders So leaders in roles at jobs or whomever are going to have the money to both pay for that. And then how can you maybe customize? You're saying the same content. That's another thing, ladies, is I talk about maybe really being intentional about your topic, right? What do you call your course? Like, so maybe you have a version for leaders, C-suite leaders, right? Corporate leaders. And it maybe is mental health, fitness, and balance for the corporate leader. Well, guess what? Now I self-identify without you being around that course is for me. I'm a corporate leader. I have money, right? I have a stipend. I can also make my leaders go through it. So I like to do one-to-many strategies, right? I need it and my whole leadership team needs it. And we have money. And then maybe there's a version for business owners who are busy business owners, right? That's your second activity. So I think there's a way to do well and do good, but also be smart, financially, like make that decision. So that's what I would say is finding the happy medium between who needs it anyway, and then who has massive funding to pay for at scale. I know my advice is bad sometimes because I'm always thinking the masses instead of, onesie twosie. But Drew, any thoughts there as well?
Yeah, I think Adrian, on that, it's if I can go back to Dale Howarth, which was the testimonials, his driver was to legitimize his content. As a byproduct of that, he then started to be able to commercially, gain from being able to have that legitimacy in there. And if I can go back to the slide that I presented earlier, slide 3 or 4, when I talked about what CPD actually means, it's a trust mark against your brand. If your audience, if they don't mandatorily have to have the CPD hours or the CE credits and things like that, think of that as a byproduct to your audience, because the key point of that is being able to, okay, I want to legitimize my learning. How am I going to do that? I'm going to wear the badge so that I can say to my audience that me as the author and as the trainer, Adrian Charleston, that my learning has come from a credible and reputable place. Then from that side of things, you can then be able to then leverage that legitimacy by that secondary piece. Again, using Dale Howard as an example there, he wanted to legitimize his learning, and then as a result of that, he then he got the competitive advantage by selling more of his content. So I hope that kind of helps there, Adrian, to look through that lens.
Yeah, you know what, Drew, just one piece for the end too that I don't think we touched on a lot, but sometimes people want to accredit their program and it's not all about money, right? Like, I'm not saying that everyone is driven by money, like maybe some of us could be, but some people get the accreditation because they actually want to build a certification program. And accreditation and certification are two different things, but it's much easier to make your program a certified program once you have accreditation than if you just call it a certified program and it's not accredited. Because there are a lot of people who are going to have a hard time saying certified. Who accredited? Who's your third party backer? How legitimate? So Drew is right that if the goal is legitimacy for any reason, whether it's I need to be legitimate so that I can be a credible speaker, or I need to be legitimized so that I can then build a certification program next, and that's a whole different topic. We'll talk about that too. Or I need to be legitimized so I can have a competitive advantage. There's a bunch of speakers out there, but they're not all accredited, but I am. What does that mean, sir? That means that when they come to my talk, they get points when they leave work or leave the job. They get credits towards their learning. This counts. So sometimes you have to spell out the so what. So what does that mean? Oh, so what that means is, right? And so those are reasons why to beyond the money is legitimacy. So does that make sense, everyone? Any final questions before we get ready to close out? Final questions? Is anyone curious about starting a certification program after, and by the way, what a certification program is that accreditation is not, because I don't think we spend a lot of time on the difference, is in my case, so you could be accredited, but then a certification is the next step. You're going to build a certificate. And what a lot of people don't know is there's different types of certification. You can certify attendance. That means when a participant takes your class, they get a certificate of completion. That means that you're not testing knowledge. But the moment you test knowledge, it is now a certificate of knowledge, right? It is effectiveness. It's the ability to be demonstrable, to demonstrate the learning back, right? That's also a technique. And a lot of people don't realize there are levels to certification. You, Toyinda, could say, I have a certification program if you have a means to track who attended and who stayed to the end, because you need to be able to produce a list if challenged. A lot of people don't realize that. What's your evidence that such and such participated? If you can show that, then you can say that my certification program, which is accredited, right, is certifying attendance or completion of the program. Whereas maybe Melissa's certification program actually has a test at the end, a mandatory test with a passing score of 85. Now you are certifying knowledge. So there's different types of certification. A lot of people don't realize that. But accreditation is the right path to then turning around and having a certification program so that you could be seen as an authority in your market. Okay. Was this helpful? Before we close, can we like clap it up for Drew? All the way from the UK. It's the afternoon there, and he's like hanging out with us.